Okay, so my number two film that shaped my meet cute moments is Set It Up from 2018. This is a film directed by Claire Scanlon and starring Zoe Deutsch, Glenn Powell, Lucy Liu, Taye Diggs, and a whole suite of minor kind of comedic actors. The IMDb plot summary: two corporate executive assistants hatch a plan to matchmake their two bosses. So this film and why I put this on the list for me is there is a meet cute in the film between these two assistants played by Zoe Deutsch and Glenn Powell, but the initial meet cute does not immediately spark romance, and instead sparks a partnership where they're trying to then set their two bosses up. So this really does show that falling for someone, even though you have that meet cute, does take time, and you see them kind of gradually kind of developing a connection and relationship with each other without even them noticing it, which is definitely something that I feel can happen too, where you're sort of accidentally or without even knowing what's going on, kind of starting to fall for someone because of these time you're spending with them and the things you gradually learn about them. So, to get a little bit more into the plot and sort of draw it back to this theme too, is, these two assistants, they have the same set of problems. Like, they don't like their bosses. They're making them work too long. They're really not engaged in their jobs. And I think this is something that they bond over too. Like, after this initial meet cute, which is they're both working late at night and they are trying to find order dinners for their boss. And I think it's Zoe Deutsch's food comes, but then Glenn Powell's doesn't. He tries to basically steal the food from her to give it to his boss. And they work out some way to kind of split the food. So they're both immediately kind of solving problems together. But they realize they have the same problems, which is and sort of the same struggles. And I think that's something too that early on in a relationship, at least, can kind of bring you together with someone because you relate on something. Even though it's not necessarily that you both are attracted to one another, like they're constantly there's a lot of banter back and forth, making fun of each other, jokes back and forth in the beginning. Glenn Powell's even in a relationship at the time. Zoe Deutsch is, I think, very sad about being single, but is single. So it's not like they're looking for love or looking for a connection. But I think that's what can make the meet cute moment magical too, in a way of you're not looking for it. Even that initial connection with or the initial meeting isn't immediately like in my last film, Bottle Rocket, where there's this instant connection that these folks both have. And I think what this shows is that you never really know what a meet cute is when it's happening. Sometimes you think back like, oh yeah, we did meet like that, even though this wasn't something initially where we're like, let's immediately go out and, we have immediately physical connection or something, because they don't have any of that in the beginning, but they develop it over time as they work on things together, which is, again, something that, a lot of people meet at the office, right? Because you're working on a project together and you spend a lot of time together, and then you sort of develop a relationship like that, which definitely this film kind of shows that side of things, which I think is important part of the beginning of a relationship. And I think it's just fun too, like as an audience member, first of all, it's a romantic comedy. So they're going to get together in the end, even though the characters don't know it. And you get to watch them grow their relationship as a audience member, because where it ends. They don't know where it's going. But it's fun to see like this gradual attraction develop, and the banter sort of switches to a little bit more where you can tell they're kind of flirting banter as opposed to just like, making fun of the other person. I think that's just really fun, just being that, third person kind of point of view, watching a relationship develop where the people in it don't even know what's going on, which I thought was really fun. And I'd love to get your thoughts in the film in a second, but just kind of tie up at the end too. Just a line that I really liked is, because there's a lot of reasons why these people shouldn't be together. Not only the fact that, Glenn Powell was in a relationship that he didn't really like, but they don't really like each other throughout the movie. Like, they're not like instantly friends at all. But I think I think it was Glenn Powell who had this line of, all the reasons why it shouldn't work out, but you do it anyway. You try to pursue that relationship anyway. And I think that to me is a sign of really, I don't want to say love yet because it's the beginning of a relationship, but if you want to put all those things aside, recognizing the reasons why you shouldn't be trying to pursue this, but you do it anyway, I think that's a real sign that you might have a successful relationship, or at least some interesting connection will come out of it. So I thought this movie does a really good job of that as well. I don't know. Are you relating to these things too? Do you feel like this is stuff that you've experienced in your life too?
Yeah, no, for sure. And actually, to build on that line, I think it's Zoe's friend at her engagement party or something sort of says that you like somebody for who they are, but you love somebody in spite of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Something like that. Which
right.
That's definitely kind of made me teary-eyed because it's so true. And you see that in these two people as well, that there's a lot that they don't like in each other,
Right.
or
Right.
don't love about each other, but they love each other despite that. And it's
Mhm.
sort of an earned relationship in that sense, because they've been through the trenches, literally,
Right.
kind of, trying to make this whole thing come together.
Mhm.
um the other thing I was thinking of, as you said, that it takes time for a meet cute to become something real.
Mhm.
You also see the contrast of that in this movie with the two bosses, where
Yes.
there
Yes.
is an instant connection perhaps, but it sort of makes it's an interesting take that not all meet cutes actually work,
No,
and that
totally.
meet cute was never meant to work. But on surface, they're two high power people who are
Mhm.
obsessed with their jobs and successful and what have you, and probably they did hit it off and that meet cute did work for them, but ultimately they're not good for each other.
No, definitely. I think an interesting point that this movie is, or at least I was reading into it too, is you're right. And the plot of the film is they're trying to set up their bosses. So they're trying to create a artificial meet cute. Like they try to, get them stuck in an elevator together because
Right.
that's a classic thing. That doesn't work. And then they arrange for them to be sitting next to each other at a ball game and force the kissing cam on them. So
Right.
they're trying to artificially create a meet cute and it doesn't work out. Versus their meet cute was very organic. They were
Right.
down there trying to get the food. And to me, I read that as you can't really the fake meet cute moments of trying to find that or or create that moment yourself doesn't work out. That's not a real meet cute. That's not destiny. That's not luck. That's not chance.
Right.
That's just you trying to force it. Even my comment I made earlier about, you going to other cities and trying to trip people. Yeah, you're trying to create a meet cute. So that's not a meet cute.
It's
That
not
is
gonna work.
artificial. It's not going to work like what they're trying to do here with their bosses. So I think that, which again is something that I do believe in, like these real meet cutes are organic, they're natural.
Mm.
And this movie sort of shows a real one versus a fake
A
meet
fake
cute.
one, an
The fake
orchestrated one.
orchestrated. Yes, the orchestrated meet cutes don't work. Work or whatever. Like they don't lead to a real
They don't
relationship.
lead
So
to
that's a really good
something.
point you
Yeah.
make. I think, yeah, that this movie has three meet cutes in it in a way. It's their initial one and then the two that they're trying to set up between their bosses.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then you touched on this, and I think going back to my original list, I feel like this movie really works because of its two lead actors and their
Oh yeah,
performances. Like they're just so good.
totally.
Individually as actors, you really get a sense of who they are as people, but their chemistry with each other is so good. Because yeah, like you said, the audience, even though we know that in the end they're going to get together, you
Hmm.
also have to root for them when they don't know, and you're just going through the
Right.
motions with them. And
Hmm.
that to me is the real chemistry spark test, that and they
Hmm.
have it
Yeah.
from the get-go, actually, even though
Yeah.
they don't know it. And I think that's just such a hard thing to pull off as an actor, that you have to sort of come across as effortless, that you don't know it but yet you know it, like
Right.
very, very well handled. My only critique on the movie, if there is any, is that um I think why they stay in these jobs
Hmm.
is a little bit sort of questionable to me, especially for Glenn Powell's character. Like, his boss is a VC, and I don't
Yeah.
know why a VC would be the way Tay Diggs is to begin with, like who's just, or have assistants like this.
Oh,
I
right.
don't know
Right.
if VCs have assistants like this, and even so, if they did, like, you could totally go and get like an assistant job with some other VC. Or
Hmm.
plus he looks too old to just wanting to be an analyst. So there's
Oh,
some
Glenn.
like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
questionable sort of things of why you would stay with her. I can sort of buy it because she really admires Lucy
Right.
Liu's character
Hmm.
and she's been a big influence on her, so I can sort of see. But yeah, unlike Devil Wears Prada, where
Hmm.
the fashion world is very insular, and
Hmm.
getting some in there, and Miranda Priestley being such a huge deal in the world of publishing and journalism and what have you, you can sort of kind of buy it. And also, we don't know much about the fashion industry, so you sort of play along. At least at that
Right.
time one didn't.
Right.
But
Right.
here I think there's a little bit of that in the beginning, when
Mm.
their jobs are just so insanely, almost comically, absurdly hard, that you're like, this is just too unreal to believe, and why someone would put up with this.
Fair, though I will say, as someone who did work as an assistant in Hollywood, that a lot of these problems are
Yeah, in
with
Hollywood,
those were
yeah. but not
definitely
as a
true.
VC.
Yeah, I haven't worked as an assistant, and maybe they just chose the wrong, the wrong profession setup there. But yeah, I mean, maybe that also is a testament to, Glenn Powell quitting his. I mean, at the end, he's going through a whole sort of change in his life. He doesn't want to pursue that type of job anymore. Versus Zoe Deutsch is like, I want to still be a writer and sports writer, all those kind of things. That's true. But yeah, like I really love this. I think this movie is really funny, really great. Funny. Immediately, like when I first watched it several years ago, I'm like, oh, this is like a new, like always going to be in the rotation for me. I think the other thing that is great about this film, just talk a little bit more about the film, just kind of in general, is the supporting cast is so strong. Like there'll be a scene where they're at like a jewelry store, and whoever's playing the clerk, she only has like one or two scenes, one or two lines, but she's so comedic. Her timing's on. She nails it. It's like having a deep bench of where it's not just the
that's
four
my
leads
point number
that are
3.
funny. It's
very
like
important.
Everyone in this movie is so funny, and the writer gives them all little lines and little bits. So it's not just the two leads trying to carry the whole thing. I think it's really
Titus,
important.
the elevator
oh my God,
guy,
Titus is great in this. Yeah.
Everybody, and
the guy in the elevator. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that big guy in the elevator. He's like, I'm claustrophobic. It's like he has one scene, but it's so funny, and they are able to give him the scene and not take away from the two leads who are there, trapped in the elevator with him. I think that's what elevates this movie for me. It's like everything, all the little bit parts really work.
Totally, I couldn't agree more.
Hey there, it's Alex. If you like the review and discussion Karan and I just had, make sure you subscribe to our channel, Movies That Shaped Us, to get full episodes. Every other Wednesday, Karan and I cover a topic around important people, places, events, and moments in our lives, and then explore it through 3 of our favorite movies. Subscribe right now, or follow our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts via the link in the description below. Hope you join us for the journey.